Hello, I'm ToycatA, and this week was one of the first in a while where we didn't see a brand new 1.17 snapshot. However, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to talk about 3 really interesting features which are coming simultaneously in this update, and I don't think people have fully appreciated what they mean together. Because 1.17 is the update where they're increasing the height limit up to 320, it's also the update where they're doubling the depth limit down to -64, and also it's the update where they're changing cave generation. You can combine these 3 things together in so many different ways, but rather than trying to explain it, how about instead I say, hey, here's a ravine, also known as a canyon, officially. These usually go about 30 or 40 blocks deep, maybe 60 if you're playing Bedrock and you get a crazy one, and here is a ravine that goes from surface level, about Y70, all the way down, as you can see right here, and I can confirm with my coordinates, to -32, making that a over 100 block deep hole. This is crazy enough by itself, it's interesting enough to look at by itself, until you realize that, like, wait a minute, actually, is this thing that I fell on some wood? I guess that must mean it's an abandoned mineshaft or something. No, it gets crazier than that, because this is actually a abandoned ship. It's one of those, sunken ships that is somehow sunken below this 2 blocks of water. It's weird enough to look at, and then you realize, wow, there are diamonds in there. Again, it gets wackier and wackier and wackier, but just realize that this is just one tiny example of what happens when you have much more room to play with in Minecraft, and you have generation that isn't afraid to take advantage of it. And in today's video, I wanted to show you and hopefully address the fact that this truly is just the tip of the iceberg, and I want to explain and talk about all the other weird ways this can come together in today's video, which I hope you all enjoy. By the way, did you know greater than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the ToycatA YouTube channel? I bet you didn't know that, and now you do. You can do with it what you might. But with that said, let's go now and let's talk about this update, because, you know, the very first thing I think when there's like new height limit, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, and yeah, that question is, what would a building look like if you used all of the theoretical height limit? And from the ground all the way to the sky, it looks something like this. Again, it's a dumb high skyscraper. You can't even really comprehend the height of this. And then bear in mind, when it hits that ground right there, it goes all the way from about layer 64 to 0, like it would before, and then it goes another 128 blocks below. I think it's hard to even try and describe these in Minecraft in any real meaningful way. I mean, I can show you what the hole looks like if you really want to, but again, we literally cannot see it because of the render distance from here. So instead, I think the more logical second question is, how long does it take to fall from the top of the world here at layer 319 all the way back down to the bottom at -64? And let's find that out right now. And you know what? Honestly, this is a very interesting thing to do. Dropper maps are going to get so much bigger, but the other key question is like, okay, you know what? Isn't that fun? But can you, but the key benefit to this, most people, is like, wait, are you telling me we can now have sugarcane plants that grow 318 blocks tall? And yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. If you want to set up a sugarcane plant this tall, you can do it. You totally can, and you can harvest it, and you know what happens when you do? This. It is beautiful to look at. It rains sugarcane, and it rains for even longer than it ever could have or does before. And the best bit about this is it's not just limited sugarcane. Obviously, this is the Caves and Cliffs update. If you want, you can also do this with your new dripstone pillars. And yeah, you can make Christmas come early if that's what you really want. And you know what? It's actually very bizarre to look at. I don't know why this was my first question about the update, but you probably have more logical questions on this. And for those more logical questions, I think my brick structures might not be the most effective thing, and instead it might be useful to go into Minecraft's natural regeneration. So let's do that today, because I've already mentioned in many previous videos, and you'll probably see it mentioned in many other places, that they're trying to have more of these types of caves that have existed in Minecraft forever, where you get a lot of height in a very short space, so that if you want to get down to layer -64, you don't just have to make a boring staircase. Instead, you can kind of follow the caves as they take you down. This cave, for instance, if you look at it from the outside, it kind of starts in this weird aquifer underwater thing, and then it connects via a means. Actually, it doesn't even connect. It just there is 1 block of difference. So I guess it just happens to be right next to a cave that is lower down than that. And then this lower down cave can take you across the entire thing. And from there, it takes you into another body of water, and so on and so forth. And in fact, one of the real key things, I already made a whole video talking about just how big caves can be, but it's something I want to really just readdress and re-throw out into their world right now. Caves are big, and that doesn't just include, the X and Y axis. You can get caves that are 1,000 blocks wide by the time they combine multiple times, but you can also get get caves that are incredibly tall as a result of this update. And for a great example of that, take this cave right here. There's some copper ore. Wow, the copper ore looks great, doesn't it? I love its new greeny texture, but there's some copper ore in this cave and it looks simple enough. But if you go down here, if you either break a block or try and find this nice way out and sprint into the water, you'll end up in a big old body of water. Follow the body of water along and you'll see some lava at the edge of that. Follow that lava and you'll find one of these deep kind of caves. Follow that deep cave and you'll end up on an abandoned mine shaft, which is hanging by some chains, which I think is already very interesting, especially the way it generates right here. But follow that abandoned mine shaft along, and what are you going to find by the end of it? Oh, a dead end. But let's take, for example, this cave with its lovely copper ore. I mean, isn't that some lovely copper? I like how some of it's aged to be the bluey color, while some of it's still orangey. But we're in this cave, and it looks like a really standard. It looks worse than standard cave, except there's a little crack where you can see there's another cave. So you go through that little crack, or you mine a few blocks if you want to, and you end up in a big cave with its own aquifer. And although you might assume that you have to swim to the bottom of that to find somewhere else, and you can do that looking for ores and other caves if you want to, you can also cross this entire aquifer, and indeed all the goodies that come along with it, and you can instead find this cave, which is marked by the lava. It will be very well lit up if you don't have night vision, which we're using to make this video as visible as possible. But again, you cross this cave, and you can see like, this is a giant, wide area, like a crevice is almost the correct term for it. And then you cross that giant crevice with its lava, and what do you find? You find an abandoned mine shaft behind the waterfall, and then you go through that abandoned mine shaft, which, by the way, is kind of hanging from the ceiling of another cave. This is, again, intentional functionality. But you can keep on following that abandoned mine shaft for long enough, and what do you find? You find it takes you right above a bunch of aquifers, right into the middle of one of these caves, which, by the way, now you're at deep slate layer, so that's interesting, right? But more interesting than that, in my opinion, is the fact that you have these aquifers, which all look very slightly different layers, and you can follow these wherever you like. You can follow them this way. As you can see, the scale of this cave is really hard to comprehend. It goes so far and so long that way, or we flip 180 degrees, we can go so far, so long this way. Find a second abandoned mine shaft, which is hanging from the ceiling in a way that just, again, it's stunning to look at. And what's that? Some ice in the background, all the way here at deep slate layer. That must be an iceberg that spawned too low. That's probably a bug alongside the shipwreck thing, by the way. That's why it's not a Seed Sunday. But, you know, like the fact that these things are right here, and then this isn't even the lowest you can get, because follow the cave a little lower, and there's another aquifer, and wow, that's interesting, but I'm sure this must be the end of where the depth goes, right? You would be incorrect if you assumed that, because just follow the cave all the way around, and just over here in this particular corner, there is, again, I have to assume it's a continuation of the same mine shaft, but it looks like a third mine shaft over here, and wow, that's interesting too. Having bigger caves means that mine shafts and strongholds are more likely to be exposed somewhere, unless they change something. You know, that's hugely interesting by itself. But then this cave goes even lower into another one, and the way these caves chain into each other, allowing you to get lower and lower without having to do the staircasing technique, or, you know, heaven forbid, digging straight down, is just so interesting. Okay, wait, and then we follow from there to here, and where have we ended up? Despite being in a cave that was right at the surface, we're at Y-49. That is the truly incredible journey you can go on via caves, and the fact that you can spot at any one of these intervals, you could take another turn and you could end up somewhere entirely else. The fact that these caves loop into each other and you know, tie into each other and end up going into more and more cave systems is incredible, not just for the vertical, just for the horizontal size, but for the vertical size. Minecraft is so much deeper now, not just in terms of the content it's offering, but also in terms of the caves that it has. This one cave that, you know, we were just at -49, we're now at +31. The fact that there is now 2 caves in this video, and they're 2 random caves, I'm sure right now, let's prove a point. We're in spectator mode, let's fly in a random direction, and let's see what we find. By just flying around, we see, okay, what's this? It's an abandoned mine shaft that crosses into a ravine or a canyon. That's interesting. This existed before though, right? Okay, sure. This is why I was saying when, like, this is what we're all used to in Minecraft. They were stunning. When I first saw a ravine in Minecraft, I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is big. But then, oh, what's this? I found this cave right here. This giant cave. Again, it's truly humongous. It's like, look at the size of this thing. In every dimension, there are if you're talking about square area, or sorry, if you're talking about cubic area, this is literally going to be millions of blocks cubed. I think that's how cubes work. But anyway, this is such a huge area. It's even bigger than I thought. And then look at this. The way this generation is just astounding. and it's a random cave. And look at that, it goes down here to where the lava pit layer is. Oh, and right down here to Bedrock. And again, just by going into a random cave, you can follow it into other random caves until you hit Bedrock and all these layers. And this brand new, almost feeling biome, just because of the lava pits that are meant to be here that generate kind of funny, you get this very, very intense, very scary biome that I'm sure they're going to round off around the edges so that this doesn't happen. But yeah, the height in Minecraft really does play a huge impact on the caves, and now we have the new caves, you can start to see why. The fact that one singular cave can take you from the previous depth limit, Y0 or so, this is -8, but we're seeing stone, so we're just below where the old caves used to end, all the way down to where the current caves end. Imagine if we had caves that took up the entirety of the current Minecraft underground, and then you can start to appreciate what we have on top of those, on top of the existing world generation. And I don't think this is even the end for Crazy Cave Gen. I don't think this is even the end, and that's what gets me really excited. The fact that by going to a random point in my world, I just found this. Let's go through another wall. Again, this might seem choreographed, but you can see it's all loading into the world for the very first time here. Here is a cave that goes all the way up from what seems to be... Look at that giant gravel patch. So this goes all the way up from Y32, again, just under where the ocean surface is. You mine 1 block below the ocean, you end up in this cave, and then you follow it, and it goes all the way down from Y31, all the way down to where diamonds are. Wow, deep slate diamonds, and then even more deep slate diamonds at about Y-45. 70, 80 block deep caves are not impossible. 60 block deep caves are more than normal. Again, if I found 3 versions of them in this one video while doing something entirely aimless and random, this is a low effort snapshot video where we look at the snapshot and go, wow, isn't that crazy? But I hope this is an example, I hope this is a good example of just how nutters the current generation can be, and just how fun it's going to be, because again, now that the night vision is turned off, I can give you a more realistic glance as to what this would look like. You're in a cave like this, you know, you've just gone below the surface, you're at Y34, and you're like, huh, I'm wondering what I'm going to see here. You spot this giant area, maybe filled with mobs, maybe not, but you see a bunch of deep slate and water, and you follow it down, and you're like, ooh, where's it going to take me? And the answer is it takes you to where all the ores are, but those ores are slightly harder to mine, and then you follow that into that, and then you get this giant deep cave. You've kind of forgotten where you're going almost, but again, you've gone 80 blocks down in such a short space of time, and it now means that caving and mining are not going to be tedious activities of remembrance, but instead they're going to be exploration-based activities, and whether that becomes tedious or not depends on how much content there is to explore, and that is why the big question of this update, when it comes to height limits to do with caves, is how exciting can they make caves to explore. But the bigger question, you know, the one that, if we come back to the titular question from this video, or the titular point of this video, you know, the title might be a question. Let's be honest, it's YouTube 2021. Who knows what titles are anymore? But the big question about, like, so how is the height limit really going to affect everything? And the answer to that is it's going to be big. It's going to affect caves in a way that I really can't overstress. It's going to affect builds in a way that seems small on the surface, like raising the height limit from 256 to 320 seems small, but allow me to put it like this. Any large build you make in Minecraft after 1.17 can now go, measured relative to the surface, 33% higher. Or, you know, again, like you can see right here, the blue building is what you would have been able to make prior to 1.17. The red building is the thing you'd be able to make post 1.17, which is already kind of big by itself. This is going to change a lot of things in a lot of ways. I'm sure getting the technology ready for this on Bedrock is one of the reasons why we haven't seen many updates there. But then let's take the converse side of this, because it's already impressive enough to say, yeah, 33% better, that is a big improvement. That is a huge change in terms of what you can expect. But then let's take a look at the other thing here. Let's go to creative just to make this work a lot easier, and let's show you the depth limit difference, because this is the difference in a hole made after 1.17 and a hole made before. If you wanted to mine an entire chunk, this is about what you'd expect to be left with, whereas if you mine an entire chunk after this, this is what you'd expect to be left with. I think although these towers look entirely ridiculous by themselves, bear in mind that the shorter tower, the old height limit of 256, is where the mountains are going to be generating as of the new Bedrock beta, which just came out yesterday. So keep that in mind and realize that, like, oh, it goes that high, does it? And then the world is going even even taller than that. And then also bear in mind that the underground that goes beneath those mountains is going to go all of this way into the ground. It really, even though this is a fundamental exercise, it does help you prepare for this new update, or at the very least, it gives me an opportunity to show you these mountains, which I love doing this. I could do this all day, every day for a very long time, whether you like it or not. Yeah, you think YouTube videos are about pleasing you? No, they're about pleasing the YouTube algorithm god, and apparently the way you do that is with mountains. I don't know if that's true actually, but that actually does sound like it makes sense. Yeah, that was a reason I spent this time showing off mountains. Look at me, YouTube extraordinaire over here. I am very, very hyped. I'm very, very excited to play around this update, and I hope that all of you are too. Also, what's with these chunks? Why are there like weird gaps where there's just no lighting? And it's happening in the exact same place. They're making big exclamation marks. They are literally warning me about something coming in the future. But you know what? That's someone in the future's problem. What isn't someone in the future's problem is you enjoying this video. I hope you all did. If you liked it, you can like it and let me know. If you really liked it, you can subscribe and you'll see more of these videos daily on your homepage. And of course, again, be safe from those 99% of house fires that happen to non-ToycatA subscribers. But yeah, with that said, thank you for watching, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.